Hey guys, welcome back. Alright, today I'm doing a review video I've kind of been talking about doing for a while, and I thought, why not do it now? So I'm going to be reviewing 3 books from the Class Doctor Who series by Patrick Ness, and yeah, these were the tie-in novels that were released when the series originally came out. And I kind of read these as more of a way of mourning than the fact there was no season 2. So I was like, this was my kind of class fix that I really kind of needed. And it was such a good show. And I feel like BBC really missed the mark with this show because if they'd have distributed it the right way, it would have been a great show. Like, I would have definitely watched it. I watched it on BBC iPlayer when it first came out and I really enjoyed it. But I feel like because it wasn't promoted enough, and the fact that although BBC Three was very popular, the fact it's not on TV anymore, people aren't actively seeking out BBC Three's original dramas, even though they're all great. Like Click was absolutely brilliant. The fact I'm in university, so the fact watching a university drama and a British university drama, that was really good, and it was very dark. So I'd highly recommend anyone who's not seen Click or Clique. It's kind of like Gossip Girl meets um, it's kind of like a Gossip Girl type thriller, but it's very dark and quite sinister at some points, but it's really good writing. So yeah, Class was a spin-off to Doctor Who, and it's set within Coal Hill Academy, which is a school that's referenced many times throughout Doctor Who, and it basically follows 4 6 1, well 5 6, uh, a group of 6 1 students and their teacher. One of the students is an alien prince, and the teacher is an alien sort of rebel warrior who is assigned to be his unwilling protector, but is forced to kind of be his bodyguard. So it's basically about their dynamics. And the first season was really great, and I was so glad there wasn't a season 2. But I'm not going to be talking about the show tonight. I'm going to be talking about the books. So there's no particular order as into what to read first, but from the clues I picked up within the books, I'm gonna kind of review them as I think they should be read. This isn't me kind of saying yes they should be read like this or no they shouldn't. But yeah, I'm gonna kind of review them in the order I think would make sense for a reader who's watched the series. So the first bit I'm gonna review is Joyride, and this was written by Guy Adams. Now, Joyride follows um, the sort of our Coal Hill group, and many students are acting very strange that they are not. They're really acting peculiar. They're doing really dangerous, stupid stunts. It's just weird shit goes on, and yeah, basically it follows the fact that Ram, who's kind of like the school jock, captain of the football team, ladies man, quite good looking guy. Yeah, he's possessed. So he is put into an experiment. His body is possessed by another human. So basically, these aliens land. I read this during the summer, so bear with me as I try to remember most of it. So um, a spaceship lands on a council estate, and it's quite a peaceful alien just that actually lands on Earth and is very innocent. And he is killed by a sort of wannabe get rich quick schemer, and he uses a machine that the aliens use because they can't move around on an unknown universe. They need a host body. So the alien uses can only use a adolescent body because the machines only work for they can't possess adults. They can possess sort of young adults, teenagers, preteens. It's that category of people that this machine allows the user to possess for typically an hour. So yeah, Ram is possessed by this machine, and he is, instead of kind of blacking out, he wakes up in the body of a middle-aged old fat guy. So for him, this was very frustrating. And yeah, he's stuck in this body, and the bodies don't reverse back when the hour is up. April is also one to get. She's a April, who's that the class sort of president as well. Yeah, she's the first to be possessed by a woman who just gets pissed, absolutely slaughtered, and walks into the school. Now, for April, whose dad is an alcoholic, and this is referenced in this book, which I thought was good, say she never touched alcohol or never drunk. That's when Miss Quill actually starts to pick up on that the students start to add on. So then more students start to be possessed by basically middle-aged people and older people who feel like they can't do what they wanted to do when they were younger. So the man who actually is in possession of Ram's body is secretly gay, is living with a wife, has a beard, and he kind of uses men's sort of young boys' bodies to, well, young men's bodies to kind of have sex with other young men. So that's kind of what he initially uses Ram's body for, because he doesn't feel comfortable in his own skin. He lives a lie, and you kind of see that perspective a lot. That Ram, basically, our group of teenagers, Charlie, Ram, April, Tanya, Mateus, they live in a time where you can literally just be who you want to be with, and that's that. So for this guy, he's really kind of bitter about himself, and you get a lot of his perspective, but you also get the guy who's kind of scheming people and possessing teenagers' bodies for older people to kind of relive their younger days. But it starts to get really dark when actually teenagers start dying because the host starts to get too cocky with their kind of time, and they actually start killing the teenagers because they want to know what death briefly feels like. So yeah, teenagers actually start being killed in this by their sort of host possessors. Um, I thought this book was great. It was definitely the smallest, but it felt the most linear out of all of them. I thought I feel like this is an episode between. I think it's set from what I can remember. This is set between episode 3 and 4. So it's after everything that happens in the first 3 episodes, and it's referenced about the coach with the dragon tattoo that very recently happened. So this is between 3 and 4. So I'd recommend reading this one first. This was probably one of my favorites out of the 3. The only issue I had was that you kind of went back in time with different chapters running parallel. So, say for example, you'd follow Quill and Charlie going forward, then you'd kind of go back within the same linear around the same time in the next chapter, and you'd look at Ram's perspective. Then you'd go forward again, then you'd go back again from a different perspective. So that was the only thing I didn't like about this book, was the fact that it really kind of confused me at some points. I thought, okay, we're reading from April's perspective, but with before Ram's chapter, so we're going forward, and it was little moments like that where I really had to kind of stop, think about what was going on, and kind of almost backtrack with some of these chapters. But I absolutely love this Joyride. Guy Adams was a brilliant writer. I feel like he got Quill's character brilliantly. Um, just I I think Quill's probably one of the best written characters, and I just think this author really got that voice and that dialogue, and I just loved reading chapters from her perspective. I loved Charlie and Mateus, kind of you see them during the early days of their relationship. Like Charlie's just recently lost his virginity, and like it's you see that fledgling romance. You kind of start to. It's definitely this is good book to start with. So I think I read this 5, but I kind of don't want to go too into spoilery because I think this would be actually great to read going in blind because I don't really want to tell what happens and if Ram gets his body back, if how he gets his body back, what happens with the other characters. So um, yeah, that was my only criticism. Otherwise, the fact that the chapters were very non-linear and it got very confusing at times. But I feel like this was a great start to the book series. So yeah, Joyride was number 1. Um, I read this one last, but I feel like this one should be read second. Um, what she does next will astound you. It's written by James Goss. Yeah, Goss. And it's basically about social media and the kind of what people will do to get kind of attention, kind of views, likes. And this new site kind of pops up with this very charismatic YouTube blogger who, annoyingly, every single chapter he appeared naked. So that kind of got a bit ridiculous after a while. Um, and it was basically about this organization that was supposedly raising money for a charity called, is it on the back? Um, Scan this. Yeah, it's about Scan this supposed disease that's killing children. And basically, what this website is promoting that vloggers and bloggers kind of post, tweet, video themselves revealing really dark secrets, doing dangerous stunts, outing other people's secrets, and the more views you get, the more money this charity supposedly raises. Now, this kind of was interesting for me on the fact of social media. Um, this one probably took me the longest to read, but I really like the idea that these teenagers were so obsessed with their views, their likes, their comments, their getting the more and more dangerous stuff going on, and you kind of get um, different perspectives. Oh yeah, this one focuses more on April. Joyride focuses more on Ram and Quill. But yeah, this one definitely focuses more on April. This feels like April's story. The only um I'm gonna go into spoilers with this one. I tried to Joyride was a bit easier not to go into spoilers, but this one I will be going into spoilers with. Um I don't feel like the writer really got April, her character at some point, or the way she was represented because so April is kidnapped by this alien society who is actually using the teenagers who posted to supposedly kill this dangerous alien race. And April is defiant in her own way. That was my problem. That April tried to be defiant, but she wasn't defiant. That was what really frustrated me. And when she had so many moments where she was trying to rally these people up and like fight the power and like be the leader, which I felt like Patrick Ness really got that side of it. I mean, this was a girl who looks after her disabled mum. She's a girl who had to grow up very quickly. So for me, I feel like she could literally walk into a room and own it. But she does have confidence issues, but I feel like this book took those confidence issues to the extreme, and it really didn't get. I didn't feel like there was any progression with April until the very end, and even that was very slight. So I think there was three moments where April was trying to rally these people up, saying, "No, we shouldn't fight. You shouldn't just believe what these people are telling you. Like, how do you know this is even real?" And I'm actually thinking, okay, yeah, but no one actually paid attention to it. And I was like, this happened on three separate occasions. And I felt like if you took those scenes out, the impact on the story didn't have that much effect, apart from seeing April being incredibly frustrated, which I felt kind of sucked. I would have really liked to see more people kind of, or at least a couple people to actually really start listening to her, because you were kind of led to that. Are people listening to her? But then it was like, no, not really. Like, and again, what frustrated me even more was everyone kind of came to save April, but they didn't. They ended up staying to fight this alien race. And not to go into too much spoilers, but it turned out what they were originally told was a lie. And I was surprised by that. The fact that they were first lied to about this disease, and then they were told that the disease was actually an alien race. So the fact that everyone kind of believed it very quickly felt very unrealistic. But yeah, for April's story, I kind of love the fact that we got flashbacks of April's childhood. I loved reading the scenes where you kind of see April in the hospital. You kind of see more scenes with her and her mum. And like, their dynamic as mother and daughter, but also as a disabled person to be cared for and the carer. So seeing how they both juggle that dynamic, I felt was really good. Um, I would have really liked to see more of a growth with April until not literally at the very end, which I felt kind of sucked because for a book that was primarily focused on such a great character, I felt like she has the potential to be a leader. She was still connected to the Shanakin, so she has the potential to be a leader. She has the warrior instinct. So for her not to be able to kind of sway even a few people really frustrated me. And the fact this happened several times while April was in captivity really sucked. So yeah, I feel like I read this book last, but the fact that Ram and April aren't together in this one, and it's very vague where it's actually set, I'd recommend reading this one second. So I'd recommend reading this one second, but I felt like this one was okay. I think I gave this 4 stars, and that was mainly because April felt very passive, and she felt like if like you took her out, it would have very little effect until the very, very end. Which, and even the other characters, I mean, they came to rescue her, but then they kind of instantly fell into the soldier mob mentality, which I felt was quite disappointing. So I was frustrated with these guys as well and their character arc. Charlie actually had quite a few funny scenes. The fact that he had quite a few moments where he had to be rescued, and I found that quite. I enjoyed reading that, oddly enough. Charlie was almost dying, and this was a character I liked. But actually seeing Charlie near death and having to be saved, I found was quite amusing. Especially with Quill being very kind of cool and collected. One scene I did like was Quill actually had her ability to use that gun. So this was before episode 6 and 7. I'd probably say this one was probably more between um, 4 and 5, maybe, because I'm just going off Ram and April. They're kind of on the phase where they're like, maybe we like each other, maybe should we kind of kiss at this moment. They're kind of in that phase, whereas um, Joyride, they kind of really didn't have many scenes together. Um, so yeah, I kind of like this scene with Quill and Charlie, and Quill basically just wanted him to apologize. She was holding him at gunpoint, but because Charlie knew the gun wouldn't work on him, he still wouldn't give her that apology, which I feel kind of stuck because I love Quill. And I feel like, although I like Charlie, he's very pompous at times. But I felt very true to their characters. That scene, the fact that Charlie was so confident that Quill couldn't kill him, so he didn't need to give her an apology, which it felt very organic. But I give this a 4 stars, I think, on Goodreads because mainly just how um, Quill, not really Quill, Quill was actually alright, but April, Tanya, and Ram specifically were written. Ram kind of went through very traumatic times, so for him to be very bloodthirsty in this book felt quite a bit out of character in the sense that he has fight in him and he definitely has spunk and attitude, but for him to get very bloodthirsty very quick, even though their food was essentially drugging them, that they were being fed this weird porridge oatmeal kind of, that was kind of almost drugging them with adrenaline. It felt very out of character. Like even Tanya felt a bit vague. So yeah, this one was probably my least favourite out of the class book series. And lastly, because this was a trilogy, and sadly they didn't do any more, was The Stone House by A.K. Bendick. This book focused on Tanya and hold on. I am just checking the other girl's name. Uh, Amir. That's it. Sorry, I'm just kind of when I completely forgot the other girl's name. So yeah, this primarily focuses on Tanya, and the stone house is literally a stone house somewhere in London near the school where no one goes near because everyone thinks it's haunted. But as this is sci-fi, there's actually alien occurrence, and Tanya is basically Tanya's feeling. You can get this felt very organic to Tanya. I felt like Stonehouse and Joyride felt the most character authentic. So Tanya is feeling very kind of like you can tell she's feeling more of the outsider and more of the young. Sort of, she's the youngest out of the group, and you kind of really get that sense of her. So her place within the group kind of feels a little bit out of sorts because she's kind of feeling like she is the youngest, but she is essentially the Hermione of the group. She's the smartest, she's a more kind of cool, logical, headed type. But she is very guarded and she's quite reserved. And that's kind of what I kind of really like about Tanya. Although she's very smart and she's very kind of sweet when she wants to be, she's very guarded and she's quite resentful of quite a lot of things, which, as you get to know her character throughout the series and definitely throughout this book, you get why she's like that. So Tanya has become very obsessed with the stone house. And the stone house basically starts to replicate dreams and nightmares, but they kind of both merge together so that you never know which ones you're going to get. They can be good, they can be bad, but they give physical representations of their nightmares, good or bad. And Tanya becomes obsessed with this house because she sees a teenage girl at the window who is stuck in and can't get out. So Tanya believes that the girl was trapped inside. Also, we get Amara, who is, this was the only book to actually be written parallel third person and third person, first person. The first person perspective is written in Amara's point of view. Amara is a teenage refugee uh, who comes to England, but her mother dies on the way there, her sister dies, and her father is a bit unknown. So she arrives in England, quite traumatized, and she escapes being sexually assaulted by the man who brought her there. So she runs out of the house. The first house she runs into is a stone house, but the house won't let her leave. Now she's actually believed to be a ghost of the house, but she's actually human and she is just, the house kind of wants to. I'm going to go into spoilers with this one. The house is essentially a alien spider who can replicate dreams and nightmares, but because she doesn't know the difference, she kind of brings both out. Despite wanting to calm the people she's around, she brings out probably their worst nightmares, but because she doesn't know the difference, she kind of brings out whatever dreams. So Tanya is stuck in the house, and no, Tanya actually gets stuck in the house, and you know, I was kind of thinking, is Tanya gay? Is because I was thinking, is there a kind of thing between Amara and Tanya? Like, I feel like even Quill had that thought at one point because I don't know. I felt there was a bit of chemistry between Amara and Tanya, and I was like, I could be okay with this if this was to be shipped. So, um, I mean, Tanya even said it herself that she doesn't actually have anyone, and I feel like this is the best book to read last because Tanya definitely feels more of the outsider because by this point in the books, Ram and April are a couple and they have very cute scenes together, and Charlie and Mateus is still the LGBT and ultimate power couple of the series. So yeah, Tanya feels more out of sorts because she doesn't have anyone to call hers, which kind of sucks. But Tanya becomes more and more obsessed with this house, and when she gets stuck in the house, she starts to relive her nightmares. So the guilt she feels of her dad dying, the fact she was the one who found him, um, all of this stuff kind of starts to kind of come forth. But also the owner of the house wanted to keep the spider safe, and the spider actually wanted to be reunited with her baby, but this really sort of cringy villain wants to demolish the house and make top of the range apartment complex, even though um, that area of London that Carville Academy is actually set is a more um, middle class, working class environment. It's not higher class. It's a very it's a very multicultural area of London, which anyone knows London is multicultural anyway. But this isn't a very rich area of London. So anyone who actually lives in this area wouldn't be able to buy this amazing flats that are on offer. But he actually requires the rights to the house illegally. He doesn't even have the rights. So yeah, Quill actually had some very cool scenes where she goes head to head with him. This video is turning very long. So this was probably my second favourite. I actually weirdly shipped Amara and Tanya, kind of wanted them to get together. But yeah, I kind of felt like this book really got Tanya. I loved the scenes with April and Ram. You kind of really got that dynamic where Ram was kind of like, he was very smitten with her, but also April was kind of on several committees, and she wasn't pining for Ram, and she wasn't sort of besotted with him, which I thought was also great. It was quite a healthy relationship status they was in this book, which I really enjoyed, which was really nice to read. And yeah, the only thing I actually noticed a typo in this book where the group split up in the stone house, but wisely they go together in groups. Anyone who knows creepy house, go by yourself, you're bound to die. So yeah, they go off in groups, and Quill, Ram, and April go down to the basement. Charlie, Mateus, and Tanya go to the attic. So with Quill and Ram and April, there's a scene where instead of Ram saying a line of dialogue, you had Tanya's name instead. And I actually stopped and thought, wait, is Tanya actually with them? Did I misread this? I actually went back in this couple of chapters, read it again, and I was like, no, this is a typo. So yeah, I will say, when you're in the scene in the basement, there is a little typo in this edition of the book. I think the American version, which I feel like is being released in a hardback. This is the UK version, which is published in paperback. I feel like they may have corrected some things, but it's written with American things. So, yeah, I feel like the hardback's coming out next year, and also the audiobooks. So, oh my god, this is getting so long. So yeah, this was actually probably my favourite. Just to kind of wrap up real quick, I think I gave this a 5 stars. Yeah. In terms of sort of how I would rate the kind of conflict or the drama, I'm going to kind of do that real quick with every 1 minute. Alright, so just to wrap up real quick, as I've said, I recommend you read the books in Joyride. What She Does Next will astound you, and The Stone House. I'd recommend reading them in this order, but feel free to read them in any way you want. I feel like from my reading experience, this reading order will kind of feel the most organic to anyone who's watched the series. In terms of villains, I'd probably say the best villain in this book series, or the best antagonists, were Joyride, because I can't remember the guy. I'm probably just have another quick look. Gary Fletcher, I feel like, yeah, Fletcher, I feel like was the best villain in the book series for Joyride, because he was actually very, very sinister, and that's what I kind of really enjoyed about this book as well, the fact that this guy was dark. He was so twisted and money obsessed, and I mean, he kills the alien to acquire the equipment to possess teenage bodies, but he kills the alien in a child's body. That's how dark he actually is. And that's what I thought was really good about this book, the fact that he felt like a really dark villain, because there was no limit to where he would go to actually keep this money coming in, which the fact that he was driven by greed, which I thought was a really interesting conflict. And yeah, so I feel like Joyride had the best villain and antagonist. Um, Stonehouse, uh, the spider wasn't actually the villain, which kind of sucked. But I feel like it was a very good character, well, creature. And I'm just trying to find the name of the male. There was no female villains in this, which I kind of wanted to point out from what I the the, the other book is a bit of a question mark. Um, yeah, Constantine Oliver is the he felt more like a very stereotypical twist of the moustache villain because he was an attorney, he was quite up there in power, and he didn't feel like he could actually do any real damage, especially when you had Quill, who was a trained warrior. So I feel like the Stonehouse had probably the weakest villain, and the fact that the spider was actually a peaceful animal, there was no kind of real villain. But the conflict was good and the characterization was good. And what she does next will astound you was just a massive question mark for me because you never actually find out who the villains are because Quill kills them at the end. But it's left very open ended. Too open ended for me because I feel like this kind of needed a sequel or kind of needed an answer. But the fact we didn't get one was a bit frustrating. But I'd probably say this was the second, yeah, the middle in terms of best villain. I feel like this fell in the middle because it was very manipulative, which I feel like was just as bad as a Joyride with Fletcher. The villains behind the kind of organization, it was very kind of messed up what they did. So this was mental, sort of psychological manipulation, and Joyride, honestly, that loads of people actually died. So I feel like Joyride and what she does next was the best in terms of villains. Um, Stonehouse, I loved because of. Oh, sorry. Stonehouse, I really loved because of the characters. And yeah, I feel like this series kind of really helped me kind of come to terms with Class being over. And yeah, I'd highly recommend if you love Class and enjoyed the series, well, season. Read the books if you want a little bit more. And yeah, kind of go from there. Um, these are coming out in hardback and audiobooks uh, next year, I think. So if you much prefer hardback editions or you'd rather listen to a narrator, I haven't heard any of the narrators yet, so don't know if they're good or bad. Hopefully they're good, but yeah, if you'd rather listen, I feel like I think I think the audios are coming out next year. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, I'd highly recommend reading these if you like Klaus, or just if you're a fan of Doctor Who. If you enjoy Doctor Who, kind of want a kind of easy read, go with Class. There were quite a few scenes that were quite hard, to be fair, but as you can see, they're quite small, so you should be able to get through these fairly quickly. And yeah, I'm sorry this video kind of turned into a very long video, but you know, thank you for sticking around. Hope if you did. And yeah, if you read these books or if you want to kind of start dialogue about class or you have any more questions that I didn't answer, or if you want to talk more about the books, then make sure you comment below. Um, yeah, and I will see you in the next video. Alright, bye.